Now, suffice to say, the contents of this latest video that Barbarossa meant, where this poor schlump simply couldn't afford anymore. He ran out of money to pay his this creature of an ex-wife, her alimony and her whatever. It really got my blood boiling, and I wanted to make a brief video, if I can keep it brief, on what I would call the necessity of beating a dead horse. This came about in part because I contacted a very prominent MRA on YouTube and I asked him if he would be anytime soon making some new videos or something to that effect. I'm not going to name its name. And one of the things he said in response, he said, well, the question is, have I already said enough? You know, there are many other guys out there speaking out on these issues, and maybe I've already said my piece, and this is something I need to consider with regards to my work. It's a well-qualified thought, and it's worthy of consideration. However, when we look at the contents of this video, what we see in Barbarossa's video right here, I will advocate what I will officially call the necessity of beating a dead horse. Many of the things that we talk about, men's rights and men going their own way, these men's issues are unfortunately a bit repetitious. But there is method to the madness. There is a sense to the repetition. For one, the repetition is important, talking about these topics repeatedly, quite to be very explicit about it, because the more we talk about it, the more men we reach. The other issue, equally important, that was the first one. The second one is really, if we don't keep on talking about it, it will get swept under the carpet. I assure all of my viewers and everyone else out there, if we don't keep on constantly talk about these issues, fairly constantly, no one's going to pay attention. This is a movement. This is an interest that's spurred on by men who sort of realize what their place is in society, and that they're essentially nothing more than slaves, worker drones, who have no inherent value. If that is the perception of society towards us, men, why would they give us the time of day if we didn't constantly talk about these things? They still don't give us the time of day. But by talking about these things, getting back to point one, we're informing other men about all sorts of things. What the real injustice is going on in society, what real inequality is about the inherent and extreme dangers of marriage, of state intervention in your relationships, but particularly of marriage. You know, as an addendum, one of my most recent videos, dating, don't do it, marriage, don't do it. They both have pitfalls, but with marriage, you can end up like this guy who, in the video, gets thrown in jail and is punished, essentially, for not being able to. I mean, he borrowed money to pay the alimony. And it also shows, point three, the necessities that look at what we're up against. Look at this creature that spawned his children, whom he can't see, of course, ever again, most likely. Look at the creature. Now, some people might be inclined to say, "Ooh, this is an extreme example. This is, you know, most women aren't. Not all women are like that." Possibly not, but why take the risk at all? With Briffault's law, the female always looking for association through advantage, you see in this particular case, with regards to this particular gentleman and his marriage, this woman, that I would add a further extension of Briffault's law, something along the lines of, you know, A woman who no longer can garner advantage will seek vengeance for that because that is a perceived slight. Apparently, somewhere along the screwy line, somewhere along lines of this woman's screwy brainwaves, something happened and she sort of lost. She just lost it, or this is just a natural occurrence in women. Oh, he's not giving me what I need anymore. I'm going to punish him. Yeah. But this is what we have, and so we have the necessity, in a way, the obligation to constantly beat this dead horse. And in my humble opinion, eventually, maybe not anytime soon, the dead horse we're beating, akin to a phoenix rising from the ashes, will have life beaten into it as well. Because the more numbers we gather, the more men we inform, the more women out there, and you'll probably still be able to count them on one hand, two hands if you're generous like Girl Writes What, the more luck we'll have, and the more the world will have to pay attention to us. And at the very least, men who've not been exposed to these things, can learn the cold and hard truth about these issues, which is very important because they don't want that kind of stuff, the stuff that happens to the tax attorney, happening to them. And on a final note, don't ever trust a woman. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Don't trust your mother. Don't trust your sister. Never, ever trust a female partner. Don't trust anything any woman ever says. If you need to work with women, be polite, be cordial, leave it at that. Don't enter into discussions with women. It won't end pretty. This should just be clear based on what we've been seeing. And is there any question now that there is a war, a cultural and metaphor? Well, no, it's a real war. It's not even metaphorical. A cultural, political, and societal war against men. It shouldn't be a question anymore. And so I would urge everyone who feels that maybe everything's been said already. It certainly has not. You know. And if this is indeed a war, and it is, then we need to continue fighting the battles, battle by battle, bit by bit. It's not enough just to say, we've said everything, because the war will not stop. It's a war of attrition, and it's a war that seeks to grind away all the goodness in a man's soul. To that I simply say, we just can't stop. We have to keep on fighting as long as we can fight. Because no one else is going to do it for us, quite frankly. So every bit of information, whether it's rehashed, old, regurgitated, brand new, whatever, it's all important. And we're all making a contribution talking about this stuff. Small, large, doesn't matter. As long as we reach one extra person each time, that's a contribution in itself, and it's worthwhile pursuing. And we're adding someone to our side who recognizes that there's a war upon him, against him. And in very rare cases, I've seen recently, through Girl Writes What, may the gods bless her soul, that some women, microscopically few, have come around to some extent to realize that something screwy is going on. It leaves one with the afterthought that maybe women are somehow vaguely capable of perceiving injustice. Well, probably not. Who knows? But the point is, we need to keep on fighting the fight, because this is a war. If we stop fighting, they will grind us to dust, as they have for millennia, if not millions of years. So, the only option is to continue talking about these things, beating the dead horse until we beat some life into it. And even if the horse remains dead for the rest of our foreseeable lives, it is nonetheless an important thing that we all need to do to the extent that we can. So those are just my thoughts on the whole idea that we're just there's a lot of repetition. There is, but still needs to be said. Anyway, thanks for watching.